Yeah, definitely. I think with them being champions, and you can see the other teams are really raising their game against them early on in the season. But they've had this long break now, obviously with the COVID, and they've come in. The 3 games that they've been absolutely sensational. So bringing back the form that they did last year.
It was always going to take a bit of time to bed in under a new coach as well.
Yeah, I think so. With Justin going, it was always going to be hard for the next guy to come in, and Christian Rolf's done a fantastic job in terms of helping him progress now. And I think these 3 games have showed that they are progressing really nicely there.
OK, Hull Kingston Rovers. What, if anything, can Tony Smith and this Hull Kingston Rovers side throw in the way of St Helens? A St Helens side that have conceded just that solitary try to James Maloney in 3 rugby league matches.
I think Hull they just got to back themselves, and what they did against Warrington, they threw the ball around and they tested the defence out. But the fundamental errors that they made, cost them in the end, and that's why the scoreline did it what it was. But they just got to be confident and believe in themselves. And I think with the players that they've got, Quinlan at the back, I think he's a major key in terms of that. If he can make an impact in the attacking phase, it'll be good for them.
How do you balance it? Tony has said, listen, I've got to play with the players I've got and play in a certain style with the players I've got. We're not big enough to run over the top of teams, so we will throw the ball around. How do you play that expansive style, but yet reel it in enough so you stop making fundamental errors?
It's the simple ones, though, in terms of, the play the balls or, the short little passes. You just got to find it at the right time and make the right spaces. And, the guys like Quinlan and Matt Parcell will get out of them half. If they can, the middles can try and bust their line, bust Saints' line, and try and use Matt Parcell to run out and use Quinlan at the same time.
Let's flip over and look at St Helens. We're watching them warm up here. You had your eyes focused on Regan Grace. We talked about his hat-trick that he scored just a couple of weeks ago. Phenomenal athlete and a man you're looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, definitely. I think, if he gets a ball in space, he's just going to cause so much damage, and we saw that when he did against Leeds. It was sensational to see. He's got a huge future in the game, and really excited to see him play today.
A name that keeps cropping up every time people reference just how good St Helens have. I mean, I go back to Jackson Hastings last year, who was man of steel. He said that he thought Johnny Lomax was the best player in the competition. From your personal experience of playing with and against Johnny Lomax, what is it about him that's so special?
He's got everything. He's got the footwork, he's got pace. He's a good defender as well. He's evolved his game really nicely there, and going into the halves as well, playing international as well. But Johnny, I played with him since I was a junior, and he's always been the best player. He's always been the best player in terms of that. But it's just his impact that he brings when he's got the ball in his hand. Sets up tries, scores tries himself. Just a phenomenal player. You've come back from the NRL, as has that man as well, James Graham.
Yeah. Everybody at St Helens has spoken about the impact that he's had on the field and particularly off the field since he's come back. Yeah, and I know Jammo really well in terms of the international setup, in terms of his leadership and what he brings. He's just so dedicated on wanting to win, and to do it for St Helens, what he did for so many years, to come back to that, to come back to the team that he loves. Well, he looks a bit bigger since he's come back. You look a little taller since you've come back from the Gold Coast. We might get a look at these a little later on. Never ever come on here again. Oh, I'm dwarfed by an already bigger man. OK, listen, we'll get your thoughts at half-time, Callum. We look forward to this one. It's Hull Kingston Rovers against St Helens. Let's throw to your commentary team now. Stuart Pike will take us through this one. Stuart.
Thank you, Brian. As all the players around the park take the knee in support of Black Lives Matter, as Rugby League's 125th birthday celebration weekend continues. Hull Kingston Rovers looking to cause one of the shocks of the season. Scott Michalowskis in charge. Tom Grant is our video referee. And Rovers, who haven't played for 3 weeks, will get us underway. As bigger underdogs as you could possibly imagine in this Super League season. One win, rooted to the bottom against the champions, who have come good and have come very good since the restart of the competition. It seems a long time ago, doesn't it, since Hull KR took the points away from Wakefield Trinity in that opening match, and they've had a lot to think about since then. They posed some questions to Warrington. Cast your mind back a couple of weeks ago. Offloads, off the cuff, unconventional play, and we saw them, John Wells and I, when they were warming up, they were very much practicing that, looking to
to bring it into the game, but they're up against it against St Helens, a formidable side, but Hull KR are dangerous if the ball sticks.
Yeah, we're speaking to Tony Smith in the week. He said they're going to go for it again. So we'll see what they can come up with. And here is the first touch for the former St Helens fullback, Adam Quinlan. Rovers delighted that he's fit to play because he was a doubt, had a fitness check this morning on a muscle injury, but he's okay. And let's see what Rovers can bring in these opening stages.
Yeah, Adam Quinlan, Pikey, will be massive for Hull Kingston Rovers, and anything positive they do today. He's a real talismanic figure for them. Really good around the ruck, natural support player. Callum Watkins tipped him up in the studio before we came, and rightly so. They'll be very, very pleased to see him back.
Lit it with the ball, Rovers midway inside their own half of the field. Yeah, they really surprised Warrington with the way that they played, didn't they, in the early stages of that game at Headingley. But too many errors, letting down Tony Smith's men, kick downfield, and in the end it's picked up by Lachlan Coote, who has been one of the outstanding players in Saints. 3 victories so far over the Catalan Dragons, the Leeds Rhinos and the Castleford Tigers. It's something like 50 years since Saints have 3 consecutive shutouts. Nil against Cass, nil against Leeds. Can they do it today? Here is Walmsley, arguably one of the best players in the competition since we came back.
Form, isn't he? I love watching him play. He's mastered the fine arts of playing in the front row. Hits the ball with pace. He's ably assisted, of course. He's playing at 13 today, James Graham, but Lomax, Lees. They've got Kyle Amor on the bench, Lou McCarthy scars, but a real variety in that middle section for St Helens. What slip!
That was a brilliant kick that from Theo Fars, because Quinlan was backstepping, and in the end there was nowhere for him to go. A really enthusiastic chase too.
Oh, it looked like he had that covered, didn't he? It was a little bit over his head. He's one of the shorter members in the full-back spot, but you just watch there, he tries to step. He's got, of course, Lachlan Coote in front of him, the hard-working James Bentley. They just make it impossible. He loses his tread, and they're under pressure on their own goal line, Hull KR.
So repeat set for Saints. That's a good kick from Ellis. It'll be Matty Lees who charges forward. Good tackle from George Lawler. Here's Walmsley. Always a threat with ball in hand, as has been proved. But loses the ball on his second carry of the game, and that's a real let-off for Hull KR, but it was a good, strong tackle.
Matt Parcell right under the ball, dislodged the ball. A couple of teammates around him, but that's what you've got to do to Alex Walmsley. Bend him, get up quick, hit him round that midsection, and he dislodges the ball. Looks like Saints are going to get the ball back now.
They've not been able to take advantage. So it's an offside ruling by Scott Mikalauskis, and it's a stuttering start for Hull KR. What I am pleased to see is a little bit more straightforward stuff in the opening couple of sets from Hull Kingston Rovers. You know, we all spoke, didn't we, about the globetrotter stuff they did in the early stages against Warrington, but ultimately it came to naught. I'm happy to see that they've been a bit more orthodox, if you like, to start the game. They need to against a team like Saints.
A strong tackle from Petteru on Matty Lees, but in many ways Rovers, has been mentioned, have a free pass really for the rest of this season. With no relegation. Now then, Lomax looking for a way through. Bentley on the far side, who's cemented his place in the starting lineup for Saints over the last 3 matches. Set restart, James Graham. Real pressure then on this Hull Kingston Rovers line in the opening 5 minutes of this match. Rothie directing things as always. Walmsley straightens up and no one is going to stop him as Alex Walmsley powers through. We talked about the danger of Alex Walmsley with ball in hand, and that's exactly what he can do, and that's exactly what he's done.
Well, Alex Walmsley, unbelievably, on round 10 is St Helens' top try scorer. Well, here's how the possession came about. An obstruction from a supporting player, Sean Kenny Dow. We felt the wrath of Scott Mikalauskis. But a relatively simple ruck play. You'll see James Roby, who's done that throughout his career. A little bit of deception. He goes to the long side, drops off the big man, who's running against defenders who, if we're absolutely honest, are better defenders than that and should have made those tackles. We talked yesterday about the importance of making those one-on-one tackles. Doesn't matter how big he is, he can't run without his legs.
So, Lachlan Coote, the most accurate kicker in Super League. Coote makes it 6-0 after the 6th try of the season for Alex Walmsley.
Yeah, it's Walmsley who scores. Now have a look at this, the build-up before they play the ball. Look at the deception here. Lomax moves open here late. Everything is looking there designed to fool the Hull Kingston Rovers defence, and there's an attack going out wide, and then the easiest play was to Alex Walmsley. Everybody's worried about a situation that may unfold out on that right edge for Hull Kingston Rovers. They neglected the major threat, which is where the ball is and where Alex Walmsley. I like those additional layers in attack. I like the deception. They're not just relying on pure skill, they're actually thinking about it as well, so it's really good stuff.
As you say, Rovers making it difficult for themselves in this early stages. Young Matty Lees, only 22, seems to have been around for a long time. Seb Taylor,
who has been around for a long time. Phenomenal condition for a man who's ready to retire, or maybe looking at what he's doing next. His physical condition and the impact that he has on the game means that St Helens aren't asking that question anytime soon.
Seb Taylor, 99th appearance for St Helens for the 35-year-old today. James Graham, impressive as always in these early stages, but Rovers at the moment can't get a foothold in the game. Coote hoists a high one, and it was well taken by Quinlan, but again Hull Kingston Rovers pushed back by another impressive St Helens set.
95 metre set, and what impressed me about that was the sticking to the game plan, the doggedness and that work around the ruck. We know Saints can get it quick around the playing ball, the forwards they've got, but it's just turning those A-balls, turning those players back inside with footwork and making defenders and A-defenders, those first guys off the playing the ball, do repeat efforts in defence. Look, it's paying dividends from now, it'll pay greater dividends for us as this match goes on.
Matt Parcell, important to everything Hull KR do, as is Adam Quinlan, as John mentioned earlier. Matt Parcell, of course, a grand final winner with the Leeds Rhinos. But look where Rovers are on the last. Again, pinned back inside their own half. Ellis puts the kick forward, and it's picked up there by Jack Wellesby, of course, deputising for Tommy Makinson, the first of a 5-match suspension for Makinson for his indiscretion, should we say, against Castleford. Lomax. That's well read. Good tackle again from Matty Staunton.
John and I were talking before the game. There's been a lot of players stepping forward in this good period for Saints. We haven't seen Johnny Lomax absolutely dominate a game yet. I think it might be the day for him.
Well, they're banging on the door again here, St Helens. And here's Coote. Well, that would have been, I think, a try on the far side for Wellesby if it hadn't been for the poor pass from Lachlan Coote. But it looked to me as if Rovers were certainly open.
Yeah, I've just about to say that Johnny Lomax has almost played second fiddle to Lachlan Coote, who's been ubiquitous all season. I think he's been excellent. He's been even better since lockdown. Maybe the mantle has changed, and Lachlan Coote is providing that threat in attack, obviously, notwithstanding the last pass. I get the impression there's going to be plenty more opportunities for that as this game goes on.
Okay, ready to go?
Yeah, Wellesby and Matty Costello stepping in for Makinson and Mark Percival. Percival will be out for probably 6 weeks with a hamstring problem. On the other side, of course, Hull KR without Super League joint leading try scorer in Ben Crutch, who tore a calf muscle in training. But here's young Ethan Ryan, highly thought of by all at Hull Kingston Rovers. Prolific, of course, in his Bradford Bull days. Lawler tries to get up to halfway. And we're going to see a very rare foray with ball in hand for Hull KR in the Saints half. Harauki and Briley. Here's Linnett on the diagonal run, does well. Couple of tackles left in the set here, couple of opportunities for Hull KR, but there's the error. And that's exactly what happened against Warrington, isn't it? They had a go, they were ambitious, but they kept making mistakes.
And that's as far as we've looked to our right, isn't it? They'd worked their way upfield. They were trying to put a few intricate, short passes together, but St Helens, with plenty of energy in the tank, 10 minutes, they looked fresh as they did at the kickoff.
I think that's better than we saw at Warrington. That's maybe an evolution of what they were doing. They got maybe carried away with it a couple of weeks ago. I think that had a fair bit more structure about it. There's nothing stopping a team going to an edge early in a tackle count, because they then backed it up with some direct football. Just the execution that let them down.
Of course, not playing for 3 weeks won't help either as Graham charges forward. St Helens leading by 6 points to nil and dominating the early stages. That slices off the boot of Theo Farge. Wellesby tries to get it back, and Coote does. But Peteru there in with the challenge, and OKR will get the ball back on their own 20.
Go! Play on!
It was actually Lawler, wasn't it? But Rovers just got to try and get that foot on.
If they want an into this game, you can look at the St Helens. The last 2 ends of sets for St Helens have not been great. Have a ball towards touch into a knock-on, and then a miscued kick from Theo Farge. There's an opportunity to play off this.
He needs a better platform to play off. If Hull KR are throwing the ball around, there's not much for him to get involved with. He's a tremendous player, isn't he, the half-back Matt Parcell?
That was played off the floor.
Play the ball. Play the ball as a pass.
Play the ball on halfway. As the referee, Scott Michalauskas.
As I called the tackle. Wait, Matt. Wait.
That's one of the better rule amendments, isn't it, in the last few years? It's just not always sure that the referee has communicated and the players have heard it. So rather than that being a turnover or a penalty to the opposition, we get to play on.
Okay.
Briley puts up the kick, but it's all too easy there for Lachlan Coote. Yeah, it was one of those ridiculous rules, wasn't it? That if you didn't hear the referee, that you could give away a penalty.
You say about easy. Sorry, boss. You say about easy for Lachlan Coote. It's easy for Lachlan Coote. His positioning is impeccable. It makes it easy. He's almost one step ahead of the kicker. He knows where the kicker's going to kick the ball.
But with the greatest respect to Jack Wellesby, who's coming in and replacing Tommy Makinson, it's not the same proposition handling that player. As we see another little neck twist, it seems to have been a feature over the last couple of weeks or so. But Tommy Makinson returning the ball on the first or second tackle, you really have to front up as a forward or a middleman there. Your kick chase needs to be sound.
And his sidekick Percival's missing as well. That's a real feature of his game.
He has that run where he starts on his edge and comes in field and looks for a tired or lazy defender.
Oh, Graham, great ball inside, and here is Lachlan Coote. He's got Lomax in support if he needs him. Instead, it's to Regan Grace. Grace on his 100th appearance for St Helens. Arrows towards the line. And desperate defending now for Hull KR, but there is a huge gap and overlap if they can get it out to this right-hand side. Lomax now. Ball inside, and Nagama can't get it back, and that's another chance that St Helens have wasted. They've had 3 really good opportunities since scoring that try, and they come up short. They come up with nothing.
Too much time. Johnny Lomax there needed to do what he does so well and skip over a defender and commit that next defender, and he didn't. Pass went early, and that's the 3rd set in a row. I don't think they've not completed well.
It was a beautiful pass, wasn't it, from James Graham? Renowned for that part of his game. He's not quite brought it out to play yet, but a beautiful pass inside to Lachlan Coote.
Goal 3, surrendered.
Ryan gets up eventually. And Rovers,
wonderful hands for a big man, hasn't it? Went over to the NRL, and the Australians couldn't believe a man of that size could have such skill.
Ellis, and now a bit of room maybe for Sean Kenny-Dowell, and Ryan with a little chip forward, and Coote having to scramble back towards his own post. Brilliant. Had to be careful as well, because it was in danger of bouncing off the post, but good kick from young Ethan Ryan.
It was a brilliant kick and a brilliant chase, and it's an excellent start to the set for Hull KR.
I think Tony Smith will be pretty pleased with what he's seen so far, to be honest.
Well, for 15 minutes, they've only managed 1 try scored against them.
Back. Goal 4.
Roby, appearance 501 for St Helens. Theo Farge on halfway. Last tackle for Saints, leading by 6 points to 0. That early try for Alex Walmsley. And Lomax gets the kick away. Ryan safely under that. The young man, can you believe he scored 10 hat-tricks for Bradford? I know it was at a lower level, but they all still take scoring.
Yeah, he's a good player, Ethan Ryan. Highly regarded at the Bradford Bulls, and Hulkea securing his services. He's only going to get better, he's only going to develop. Can play anywhere in that back division. I probably think fullback's a better spot for him myself. I think that's where he played as a Bradford player.
Well, Kenny Dowell it was with the error this time, trying to get the ball out of the tackle. It was bouncing around all over the shot. Now Lomax, and that's for Wellesby, and Wellesby will have a run in towards the corner. And we talked about Johnny Lomax and the skill of Johnny Lomax. St Helens pants on the error from Hulkea and from Sean Kenny Dowell, and Johnny Lomax with a sensational pass. Now it's a stroll in. Saints lead 10-0.
Well, they've had a couple of sighters of that Hull Kingston Rovers left edge, but it all came from an error, didn't it, by Hull Kingston Rovers, just guilty of overplaying ever so slightly. So it's a second offload in that set from Sean Kenny Dowell to nobody. Bentley scrambles for him. It's Roby who ends up with possession for St Helens, and have a look at this. I mean, that's a 25-metre cutout ball for almost a standing start. That's outstanding stuff. We were saying, weren't we, Baz? Johnny Lomax has been relatively quiet since the start of lockdown. There's nothing you can see. There's no back pulling that. There's no big launch for the ball. Really well disguised. I always thought one of the best in the league at that, in the Super League era, was Danny Maguire, disguising his passes. Well, that's outstanding stuff from Lomax.
Danny Maguire could do it in almost that floating pass. He didn't necessarily spin it, especially when he was going from left to right. But what Johnny Lomax did, he kept his hips square. That meant that the defenders couldn't move off and go to where the space was. And Jack Wellesby had an acre of space available to him.
Off the touchline. Looked like a beauty to me, and Saints lead by 12 points to 0. And Jack Wellesby benefiting from the brilliance of Johnny Lomax.
Just look at the body here of Johnny Lomax. He's facing forward, which means that those defenders in Hulkea shirts, they're not sure whether he's going to run, going to dumb it and go himself, or make that pass, and he's skillful enough to put that pass in and release the winger.
It's the deception behind it. There was no way of telling there whether that pass was going 2 yards, 10 yards, or 25 yards. Outstanding stuff.
Well, difficult to believe that Lomax is, would you believe, 30 next week. He's been around since 2009.
No, that's just you being really old, Pikey.
Yeah, guilty.
I would choose to frame that a different way. I think that the adversity he's had in his career through those injuries,
two knee reconstructions,
knees or that fractured skull, really early on in his career, shows that he's very mentally strong, as well as a gifted, skillful rugby league player.
Saints in control, leading by 12 points to 0, and the juggling act from young James Bentley. Nagama, the captain of Fiji, up to halfway on the last, and Farge eventually will get the kick downfield, and it's not a bad one. Just bobbles once or twice behind Ethan Ryan, but Saints just seem to be getting much more out of their sets, don't they?
They're on the front foot, and when you think about the back end of that set, James Roby has to step over some plays. He finds Theo Farge, who's good enough to put a quality kick in to space, and it means that when Hulkea are on tackle number 3, the metres that they are making are minimal.
Set restart, Kevin Nagama guilty. You could just hear that. Scott Mikulowski's telling everybody the reason why, so maybe an opportunity to build something here for Rovers.
Yeah, KR have gone channel to channel there in 2 plays, but it's done with a lot more care and respect for the football than it has been in the last couple of weeks. Referee waves play on, a bit of messing around at the ruck here. There's an opportunity to actually have a decent look at this St Helens danger zone now.
The Saints defence has been magnificent, hasn't it, since the restart? Briley, little short pass for Linnett on the far side. And it looks like he's lost the ball. So that brilliant tackle it was from Matty Lees to dislodge the ball from Kane Linnett. And just as we talked about a potential Hull KR threat, that happened.
They've got to spend a little bit more. It goes without saying, they've got to spend more time down this end of the field and try as hard as they can to be error-free.
Don't stop doing that, though. The line was great. The intent in the line was great. Ball's just squidged out there, hasn't it, under a bit of pressure. Squidged.
Go one.
That's a new word for you.
Two. Back.
Squidged.
Remember that one.
Write it down.
Make a note. Make a note.
And make a note not to write anything down that Wellesley says.
Walmsley, who got that first Saints try early on.
Stand.
Roby from dummy half does well, gets away from the challenge of Peteru on the last. What can Saints come up with here?
I want to see Matt Parcell get some of those opportunities. They're passing the way out of trouble, but they've got a real game breaker, line breaker.
Here's a real game breaker, but on this occasion, nowhere to go for Regan Grace. Still only 23, but already 100 appearances for St Helens. Rovers 6 straight league defeats, and it's been a tough ask for them so far. Anyway, let's go pitch side and get the views of our very own Phil Clark.
Stuart, I was fascinated with Tommy Makinson out the side, where the St Helens would still be able to dominate their opponents and make the ground that they have. You know, between Makinson and Walmsley, they make about 25% of the metres that the St Helens team make in a match. They're massive contributors, so Welby has got some boots to fill here as Hull KR try and go on the roll. The other thing, life's been different in lockdown, just not taking a look at how close the two coaches are sat together. Tony Smith can almost hear what Christian Wolf's saying. Not sure whether it'll make any difference, though. His team need to prevent beating themselves, which is what they've done with some mistakes.
Well, that was a mistake. Well, I think Regan Grace there was just bobbling with the ball, but he was pushed out the way as he was going for it. But again, another show of intent from Rovers. Quinlan involved, Parcell involved, Ellis
Matt
involved.
Parcell getting out from acting half-back, found some space, didn't he? Where's where the penalty is, the shove in the back. He's trying to shield that ball so he can allow Lachlan Coote to pick it up. But Matt Parcell, there's definitely something there for Hull KR. If they can generate some ruck speed, which is easier said than done. Matt Parcell is a smart player. Almost got a coach's mentality on the field. Good communicator.
Knock on.
And a good defender as well, involved in that.
Costello claiming that the ball was stolen. A rare St Helens error. Let's have a look.
Difficult to see. There's 3 players.
Let's take a step, just take a step.
No, it's hard to go against what the referee has given there.
Take a step. Go.
Rob Mulhern on for Hull KR now. When he carries it forward, he bends the defensive line every time he charges forward.
First game for him since lockdown.
Wait.
Robbie Mulhern, Parcell, Briley, here's Adam Quinlan. Played only 12 games for Saints. Quinlan, but earned a contract with Hull KR. At the moment, you feel he's playing for a contract for next year, Adam Quinlan. Ellis, and well, that came off the hand of Regan Gray, so that should be 6 to go, and it is 6 to go. Dan Murray on as well. Now, this is the best field position that Rovers have had.
Good opportunity now. Looking to set something up, aren't they? You can see all those spine players, all those key players.
Your indicator's Quinlan. He's going to break late.
He's coming over to this side now. Here is Ellis, and Quinlan will come into the line. Does well, does very well. I think Adam Quinlan has got the ball down for a Huntington Rovers try. When we talked about the threat of Adam Quinlan, is it a try? The video ref will have a look.
Has he fumbled the ball into a Saints defender? That's my only question.
I agree. I think they're looking for touch. A bit of communication between...
I'll tell you what, I'll take that back.
his foot is definitely near or around the line. It's whether it actually touches the white chalk of the line. I'll tell you what, good skill on Adam Quinlan to hold that ball out. Good grip on it.
That's an AC joint waiting to happen as well. Is that? I'll tell you what, if he's grounded this, that's outstanding.
Well, he's got it.
He's grounded it.
This is the best angle for the feet. Oh wow, I think he's got this. We'll take a bow, Adam Quinlan. I'm pretty sure he's got this. It's grounded, his feet are in the air. I agree with you, Wellesley. I thought there was a fumble onto a St Helens player. Would you give it?
Yeah, of course I would. Of course I would. And do you know what? They've deserved this as well. They've worked their way back into this game. They've not been overawed by St Helens. And this is going to get awarded, Stuart.
Yeah, it is. That's a really, really good try. We talked about Quinlan being the real threat for Hull KR. We called it as the ball came to this right-hand side, and Quinlan spotted the gap. Saints backed off, backed off, backed off. That has to be a try.
Is that the royal we, Pikey? I think I called it there. Excellent stuff from Quinlan. It's the way he disguises himself, the start of the play, hiding behind the ruck, not giving the defence the chance to address what's going on and address his presence in the defensive line. Here we go, here's the decision.
Yeah, good try, great try from Quinlan. The threat from fullback, and only the second try that St Helens have conceded in 265 minutes of Super League action since the restart.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable defensive effort from the Saints, but a well-worked try. We up here on the gantry, that's you and I, Wellesley, not Pikey, we could see it unfolding. Obviously, the key indicator is Adam Quinlan. There was a late shift. He's trying to create more attackers than defenders by moving late so that defenders can't account for him. But my word, that try took some scoring. Outstanding stuff. And that will do their confidence good. They've not been blown away. We're 25 minutes. They've not been blown away.
The first real threat to the Saints line. And that looks like a beauty as well. And it is. Jamie Ellis right off the touchline. And we have a game on. At 12-0, Saints had had other opportunities and looked like racing away with this. But first chance, first real chance in the red zone, close to the Saints line. Quinlan comes up with a try. Ellis comes up with a goal. 15 minutes to half-time, and Saints lead 12-6.
That's what all the best fullbacks do, is hiding themselves, not giving the defence the opportunity to address their position in the line. And the trade-off with that is you've got to be fit. You've got to run some distance there as a fullback. You've got to run some distance off the ball as well. So he's probably covered 30 metres before he's taken that pass, and he's got himself on that beautiful arced curving run. It's too much for that left edge for St Helens. Back in the game.
But took it brilliantly. Somehow managed to keep his feet off the ground as he was sliding into touch.
Release, 3 back. Goal 3.
Yeah, we mentioned Quinlan playing for a new contract, and that will do him no harm at all. Third try of the season. Ellis again, and Kenny Dowell with a step. Really good stuff. Parcell and Quinlan again, and Rovers now are going for it. Terrific. Mulhern, this is for Hull KR. And Briley, there's got numbers out left. Kane Linnett looks to step inside. Well, it's amazing. One try breathes this amount of confidence, and Saints under the cosh here. Last tackle. Ellis towards the corner. Well, Grace there knocked the ball backwards.
I feel there might be a knock on here.
Is that a try for Ryan? The ball came off Regan Grace, but did it come off a Rovers' hand as well?
I'm pretty sure it did, but again, another good set of 6, 100 metres. Straight after scoring a try, they got to the back end of the set, they put a kick in, they're onside. It's the number 23 right at the bottom of the screen. He jumps higher than Regan Grace. I'm almost certain he's the first player to touch that ball, and there's a knock-on after that, but we'll see if the pictures prove me right or wrong.
Yeah, so we're clearing the onside offside here, and I think that's everybody's good to go. So it's just who makes contact here. Regan Grace has got up the higher. Ethan Ryan is round the back. Hang on a minute, because that to me looks like Ethan Ryan, in a fair challenge for the ball, has not made contact. Regan Grace has had the opportunity to take the catch.
You might be right here. I think he makes contact with Regan Grace's arms and hands.
The key is that's a fair challenge for the ball.
Yes.
This has gone up as no try. I have a feeling this is going to be overturned. And do you know what? This is exactly what Hull Kingston Rovers need to do. Just ask questions. Just ask questions of this Saints defence. He's good in the air, he's Ryan. He's good in the air. He's asked the question as Jamie Ellis.
I tell you what, I'll take my words back. I think that's a try. I stand corrected.
I think there's enough there. I think there's got to be a reasonable reason to turn that decision over.
Yeah, I think Tom Grant, the video referee, is letting Scott Michalowskis know he can overturn that decision. That is a try for Hull Kingston Rovers, and back-to-back tries. The team rock bottom, 12-0 down, and looked really up against it. They scored 2 tries in 2 minutes, and a philosophical Tony Smith, a concerned Christian Wolf, and Ellis now with the kick to level up this match.
And they've earned the right to do that. I think they've had that balance which we saw, in my opinion, go too far one way against Warrington 3 weeks ago. Too many passes, and there was a danger, wasn't there, on the 4th play, that they were going to get carried away with that. You could see the offloads were becoming contagious. But G's decided to take that ball in, settle down, give Ellis the chance at putting it on the head of Regan Grace. And Ethan Ryan comes up with it. And Hull Kingston Rovers fans, well, you're right to be pleased, because that's been an exceptional 5 minutes for Hull Kingston Rovers.
So, a 12 apiece, who'd have thought it? But there's no doubt that Rovers deserve to be in this. I think that one has actually gone to the right of the post, so Ellis will be disappointed with that. Saints in the lead now, but only just by 12 points to 10. But this has been a fantastic response from Hull KR.
Jamie Ellis has ultimately too much time to place that kick where he wants it, but the momentum is gained because of those offloads. Now, Hull Kingston Rovers 7 offloads to St Helens 1. Now that's a phenomenal overturn when you think about St Helens and the way that they like to play the game. Flat, fast and with supporting players. But what Hull KR did in that last set is they offloaded the ball to a player in a better position while they were on the front foot.
If there was any complacency in the St Helens ranks, there won't be now. And you know that the way that Tony Smith has set this up, they're going to give it a go. They're going to carry on giving it a go.
Peru on the field now for St Helens. He's a workhorse that will do those little things. I talked about Jamie Ellis getting too much time to get that kick away. He'll certainly look after that aspect of the game.
5, midfield! Hold, 5.
Ellis with a kick downfield, and it's another good kick as Saints are pinned back. In the last 10 minutes have been a golden spell for Hull Kingston Rovers. And it's amazing what a little bit of confidence can do.
They've also put a fair bit of work through Alex Walmsley, who's been the real danger man for St Helens. Well, a danger man amongst danger men. They put 24 tackles through him already in half an hour's worth of football. That'll be part of the Hull Kingston Rovers game plan, because what it will do is, in the energy used to defend, will take a little bit of sting out of his carries, and you can see he's breathing heavily in the background.
Yeah, very quick up in the tackle now, real spring in the step of this Hull Kingston Rovers side.
And the beauty of a side like St Helens is when Alex Walmsley starts to tire a little bit, then they put somebody with the energy of Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook on the field just to lift St Helens.
Well, they need to lift Walmsley. Does well. A couple of tackles left in this set for Saints. Coop, but nowhere to go. Still inside their own half of the field, only leading by 2 points now as far as gets the kick away, and there is the try scorer. Been really impressed with his complete game, Ethan Ryan, so far this afternoon.
Hold.
Fars was in trouble here in the background. That looks to be a knee assessment going on. It's just maybe a collision, I think, on the point of the kick. Yeah, that's good work as well. Dominican, a good carry. Here's the connection. And you maybe landed a little awkwardly as Theo Fage, but he doesn't look comfortable.
Well, that would be a blow for St Helens. Theo Fage just getting the kick away. But he looks in a spot of bother. You can see there.
And is it the landing leg, that one?
Yeah, anguish etched all over the face of the Frenchman.
So he's kicked with the right, but he ends up landing on it here. And just, right, it's just jarring, isn't it?
Yeah,
jarring
again, just
impact.
gone against that natural range. We saw Salford with Ken Seo, Josh Johnson there.
Oh, Josh Johnson's was awful, wasn't it, to look at? I hope he's all right.
Yeah.
Some sore bodies in that Salford camp this morning. Christian Wolff will be concerned about Theo Fage, because I think he's really grown into his role at St Helens as well. He looks in a fair bit of discomfort, does the half, and he's going to be leaving the field.
Yeah, well, it is a head scratcher for the coach to lose your scrum half. And
they've got Aaron Smith on the bench though, so they do have options. They've got, although he's more of a 9 than a half-back, they've got somebody who can probably give that role a little bit of stability. And talks about the small things of Jamie Ellis having time to put that kick in. Theo Fage, no time to put that kick in. Look what Ellis can do when he's allowed to place the ball where he wants.
That's a brilliant 40-20 from Jamie Ellis, who's having an absolute stormer, and Saints now really under pressure. Hull Kingston Rovers have turned this game around. Ellis is leading from the front. Everything that Rovers are doing, everything good that Rovers are doing, Ellis is involved. Mulhern close to the line. A try would put Hull Kingston Rovers in front, of course. Parcell, nowhere to go this time.
Well, plan A is a try, Stuart. Plan B is stay down there, get a repeat set.
Goal 2.
Here is Ellis, through the dummy, go for the line. Has he got the ball down? Just short. Inches away, Jamie Ellis. Parcell right on that try line. Lawler. Briley now looking for the run of Kane Linnett, but wrapped up by Bentley.
Good inside pressure from Bentley.
Right, last one. OKR have been exceptional. Linnett puts the ball backwards. But again, the poor
decision,
poor end to the set when they had all the pressure.
Kane Linnett, with defenders in front of him, tries to find an offload.
Well, for me, that ball needs to be exactly what happened last time they were down here. It needs to go to a kicker. It needs to be put on the head of Regan Grace. They've already had a bit of joy out of that. I don't know what they saw on the short side.
After 20 minutes, I looked at our stats here, and St Helens, in tackle-wise, had made about 25 tackles less than Hull Kingston Rovers. They've now made, give or take, 20 tackles more than Hull KR, as Lachlan Coote, under pressure, gets the ball away. But look where Rovers will start their set, virtually on halfway. And the Super League champions here at the moment are under pressure.
They are under pressure. They're being made to work that little bit harder by a stubborn, well put together Hull KR side in the main. But when that kick went in from our gantry position here, of course we can see and hear everything. Johnny Lomax blasted the players around him. He's not getting what he wants from the players around him. So his communication, his instruction to them, well, he's just made that perfectly clear.
The one thing they won't do is panic, though. There's enough experience in these ranks. And Hull Kingston Rovers have got a penalty now.
Well, no thoughts whatsoever about levelling up this game. Ellis just grabbed the ball there off Matt Parcell and banged the ball downfield.
I'll tell you what, I'm not sure that's the right decision either.
Well, we're going to see in the next 60 seconds or so.
Well, they're backing themselves, Stuart. I guess that's what you want to see, isn't it?
Why not, the way they're playing? And they know that they've got St Helens on the ropes here. Ellis shouting his instructions. Parcell, will he go left, will he go right? He goes left to Briley. Briley looking for a way through on that far side. Staunton brought down close to that St Helens try line. Can Hull KR hit the front before half-time? Briley it is, bouncing along, one bounce into the arms of Ellis. Ellis looking for a way through, but that was good defence.
It's broken down by great pressure on the inside from Louis McCarthy-Scarisbrooke.
Charge down again from Staunton. Can Rovers here just keep their composure? Matt Parcell have to throw the dummy, changes course again, brought down by Aaron Smith. On the last, Quinlan. Ellis again, that's a quick hands there to Sean Kenny Dowell, but there's no way that he could get the ball out. Now, did it come off a St Helens hand? That's the question.
It's maybe come off a St Helens shoulder. I think it was... Is it Costello or was it Peru there was in defence? Have a look at this. It's this last pass here, and it's Regan Grace. No, there's nothing there.
No, should be St Helens ball.
There's a bit of pressure there. I wonder at first whether it was Peru's left hand that they were complaining about. They can't complain about that from Grace because there's no contact at all. So it's Saints ball. Once again, you've got to question just that precision in that the last couple of plays. The last couple of times they've been down, they look to have lost the way mid-set a little bit.
But I'd actually credit what they've done defensively, St Helens. They've got up quick, they've taken that think time away, they've recognised they're in a little bit of a hole, and the leaders within that Saints group, Johnny Lomax, as I say, I'm only probably 10 or 15 metres away from him as he's standing on the field. He turned around and gave everybody exactly what they needed, and they reacted in defensive mode.
10 or 15 metres and a lifetime away.
Well, it looks, you know, it looks very much as if James Roby is going to be playing at scrum half. Smith is certainly at the play the ball. Roby looks like he's been switched to scrum half to replace Theo Farge in the St Helens side, but they just can't get out of their own half. Halfway, on the last.
Expect a lot more involvement from this man, Lachlan Coote, now. He's going to have to step up. And he's capable as well, isn't he?
Well, we talked about Theo Farge, who limped off with a knee injury. He didn't look in good nick at all after that charge down by Ryan Briley. Jenna has news.
Yes, Stu, he's looking in a lot of pain. He's icing that right knee. They're going to assess it further at half-time, but I doubt he'll be back.
Yeah, I think we all agree up here that it didn't look that he, like he would be back the way that he had to be carried off the field, Theo Farge. Cracking first half, 4 minutes to half-time. St Helens led 12 points to 0, but certainly the last 15 minutes, Hull Kingston Rovers have totally dominated. Ellis gets the kick away under pressure.
A shift in momentum. They kick that ball from deep. It's caught on the full by one of those players for St Helens who will step up. And look where they start the set now, just approaching the halfway line.
Wellesby offloads for Smith. Smith up to halfway. And it's been a while since we've seen St Helens with ball in hand inside the Hull Kingston Rovers half. And now Aaron Smith's down. Let's have a look.
It's a lunging defender who ends up probably just catching the knees in the back. Daniel Murray is for Hull KR as he's trying to affect that tackle.
Back of the head, ribs, everything. It's a brutal sport, isn't it? I'm just looking at.
Are you okay? You're shaking a little bit.
Yeah, I'm
you get flashbacks.
Nightmares. Just looking at the St Helens, it's an open question, is this?
No.
Of the overseas signings that St Helens have made, of the signings St Helens have made in the last 10 years, where does Lachlan Coote stand? He's not been here an awful long time, but boy, he's had an influence on this team.
I think he's right up there. Yeah. You know, he had to be persuaded to come last year. He was going to retire.
When you think of St Helens and their overseas players, it's Jamie Lyon all day and all night, isn't he? He was one of those players that changed the way that centres played in this country, but he's had an impact as Lachlan Coote, and he's going to be around for a lot of years to come.
Don't forget the man he took over from as well, Ben Barber. What a year that was.
The Saints looking to re-establish their advantage as Coote gets the ball out to stretch there for the line from Bentley. Just short, just short. Brilliant defence. It was Linnett as well, wasn't it, who brought Bentley down on the try line. Well, I would say, yeah, they won the first game of the season against Wakefield, and we've not seen too much. Well, they've lost every game since, haven't they, apart from a Challenge Cup tie, Hull KR, but this has got to be up there with their best 40 minutes of the season so far, especially after going 12 down.
They had a horror injury run, though, didn't they, early on in the season? They look to have found a little bit of consistency in the halves now, without Ellis and Briley. Quinlan at the back is certainly helping them, and you know, I've always thought in the size they've got in the three quarters, you know, particularly with Linnett and Kenny Dowell, and then players like Minikin, who's fleet of foot and able to get down and generate some momentum around the base. They've got all the ingredients there to be a really good team.
Parcell gets the offload to Ellis. Here is Greg Minikin. It's Briley's turn to kick downfield, and that one will bounce and bounce and bounce off Wellesby. Ooh, St Helens got away with that because that so nearly tipped off his hands and into touch.
Thought he had it, didn't he, Jack Wellesby? And your mate, Lachlan Coote, was there to save the day for St Helens.
Oh, I'm number one member of the Lachlan Coote fan club. Once again, right position, right time, and just looks cool doing it as well.
Who made you number one?
Grace! Oh, he was nearly away, and he just got the offload away, but Rovers get it back. Now, that could be a big turning point. It was a brilliant tackle from Matt Parcell, otherwise Grace was gone. And now Rovers have the ball with a minute to go in this half, and how important could that tackle from Matt Parcell prove to be? What a chance for Rovers. Can they hit the front just before half-time? Well, they've got a penalty, and they're surely going to level it up here. Into the high tackle against Matty Lees.
In any side, if they're going to compete against the big dogs, they're going to have to be committed. The commitment here from Hull KR, they've stuck in those phases where St Helens have had the upper hand, and Tony Smith, when he gets his players in the change rooms, will say, listen lads, job well done.
But what a tackle from Parcell. That little shimmy, drop the shoulder, Regan Grace. And if Parcell hadn't got him, he was under the post. Couldn't get the offload away to Johnny Lomax. And here, Jamie Ellis, on the stroke of half-time, should level it at 12 apiece. And Rovers deserving to go in all square at half-time.
Right back, Kyle.
And the flags go up. And what a performance this has been from the team rock bottom of Super League Hull Kingston Rovers against the Super League champs. And Helens have been under pressure for the last 20 minutes of the half. And Hull KR deservedly going in at half-time level. Terrific performance from them. And what a second half we will have here at the Halliwell Jones. Tony Smith will be thrilled. It's Rovers 12, St Helens 12 at half-time.
Yes, thanks very much. So he's back on familiar ground, Stuart, isn't he? Tony Smith, after his reign here with the Warrington Wolves. He has come up, Callum Watkins, with as expansive a game plan, as off-the-cuff a game plan as you're likely to see, but it's working.
Yeah, it's really working. It's been a great first half for Hull KR. It's been brilliant.
Brilliant first half. We're going to get your thoughts on it after this break. We'll go to a break now and give you a full look back on a very good 40 minutes from the Betfred Super League. Just one win this season so far for Hull Kingston Rovers, but they've got the champions rattled. Saints have been brilliant since the restart. 3 consecutive victories for them. They're all level with the team at the bottom of the table. First half analysis on the way. We've got NBA action for you from Florida coming up on Sky Sports Mix. 8:30 p.m. tonight. It's the Clippers taking on Dallas, and that will be followed by Denver, Utah on Sky Sports Arena. 1:30 a.m. for that one. Well, we've got a triple header for you coming from the Halliwell Jones Stadium in the Betfred Super League. And at half-time, have a look at that. St Helens, the reigning champions, taking on the side at the bottom of the table, Hull Kingston Rovers, with just one win to their name in the season. This season, it's locked up at 12 points apiece. Saints had led 12-0 at one stage. I was looking at the first half statistics. You would imagine the last 15 minutes of that first half has skewed them heavily in favour of Hull Kingston Rovers, with less handling errors remarkably than St Helens, as they play a very expansive game. 71% completion rate for the home side, and St Helens 74%. Well, Callum Watkins joining us here on Sky Sports to preview and to look forward and look through all three games today. Before this one, Callum, we feared maybe an onslaught from St Helens. It looked that way in the opening few minutes of the game. It was all Saints. Yeah, it was all Saints the first 15 minutes, and they battled really hard though, Hull KR. So trying to play the ball out as much as possible and making too many errors probably early on, and paid the price for it. Yes, and those errors were punished. Well, let's look at the first couple of tries for St Helens. Big Alex Walmsley crashing over, and you almost felt for Hull Kingston Rovers after these first two tries. Yeah, I think that, they tried to play out a little bit out their own half and made a couple of errors and made carried out there, just pushed the pass too much, and Saints were first on it, and obviously Alex Walmsley coming up with a great try there, but this was a lovely pass there from Johnny Lomax straight after the error, and great finish there for Jack Wellsby. The floodgates did not open. How good is this Quinlan finish? Yeah, it's brilliant. I think what he does first is get on the outside of Costello, used his pace, but made Regan Grace think a little bit and kept on the ball really well and placed it down. A super finish. Well, we know Ethan Ryan can finish. John Wells asking the question, why they're not going more often this route? I know, it's just him competing. I like Ethan Ryan. I think he's a quality player. You can see him competing there, and you see him finish a try really well there. OK, well, that was 12-10 to St Helens at that stage, and this late Jamie Ellis penalty has locked them up at 12 points apiece. Callum, let's look in particular at Hull Kingston Rovers. You talked pre-game about needing to find a balance in what they do. They're willing to offload, they're willing to play off the cuff. It does come with errors, and you're emphasising that they need to just be a little bit more selective. Yeah, I think so. I think it showed in that first 15 minutes that they pushed the ball a little bit too hard, or trying a little bit too hard. And to be fair, they've reacted really well to it, and I think the weeks before they hadn't done. But yeah, Hull KR have been really good in terms of how they reacted, in terms of when Quinlan scored that try, the confidence seemed to shoot up for them, and they battled really well, they defended really well as well just before half-time, and got that penalty to level it up. Well, we know Jamie has kick a ball. This is 40-20, but again, sometimes the problem with Hull Kingston Rovers, great 40-20, and then not long after that, a simple error. Yeah, that's probably been their issue through this year, and the frustration there, obviously, with Tony Smith there. We've got to work hard in terms of keeping the ball and being disciplined with the ball. And at times they found that balance, and they see why they scored the points there. So if they can do that, they can cause a shock here. Well, we might have a shock on the cards. We certainly have a very strange half-time scoreline. There's not many would have predicted. Hull Kingston Rovers and St Helens, 12 points apiece at half-time in game one of our triple header from the Halliwell Jones Stadium. And well worth it as well for the Robins as they chase victory number 2 in Super League. 40 minutes ago is a long time in rugby league, particularly when you're playing the reigning champion St Helens. Just a reminder on 2 more matches from the Betfred Super League that we've got coming up for you from the Halliwell Jones Stadium here today on Sky Sports Arena. 4:10 sees Huddersfield Giants take on Hull FC. Both of those sides without a win since the restart. Huddersfield have been oh so unlucky. 2 single-point defeats. They take on Andy Lass, Black and Whites. And then the home side, the Warrington Wolves, take on a Wakefield Trinity team that beat them earlier this year, 18 points to 8. That's 6:30 p.m. on Sky Sports Arena. Well, we're at the half-time point in game one. The champions, St Helens, being held by bottom-of-the-table Hull Kingston Rovers. Saints had led 12-0 through Alex Walmsley and Jack Wellsby into the side in replacement of Tommy Makinson. But Hull Kingston Rovers have come back with this expansive game plan, Callum Watkins, and got themselves level in the game. What do Hull Kingston Rovers do in the second half? Do they do anything different? Can they do anything different?
I think, like I say, keeping the right balance in terms of when to shift the ball and then when to keep hold of it and apply pressure to St Helens, because they got a little bit rattled there, St Helens, in that first half. But for me, they don't have to change too much. They just have to find that balance.
What would the message be in the St Helens dressing rooms? We've got these, or would they feel a little pressure?
Yeah, they'll feel a little pressure, but I think they made too many errors going into the second quarter there. So I think if they cut their errors down, go back to what they were doing in the first 15, I think they'll be okay.
Okay, yeah. Sticking with the Saints win?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Saints.
Okay, that's Callum Watkins' verdict on the second 40 minutes. To take you through it, we'll just go back to John Wells, Barry McDermott. First, Stuart Pike.
Thanks, Brian. The big stat for me at half-time was that St Helens had made 30 more tackles than Hull KR. That's how dominant Rovers have been, certainly in that second 20 minutes of the first half. Lachlan Coote will get us underway, but confidence breeds confidence, and without a shadow of a doubt, performance-wise and against the Super League champions, for me, Rovers' best 40 minutes of the season. That's if they can repeat the dose in the second half, but there's no doubt they had St Helens rattled.
St Helens are rattled, and they're rattled because they're having to change players around. Theo Fage unavailable as far as we know for this second half, so that means that James Roby, quality player that he is, he's going to have to flirt from 9 to 7, and there's a mistake straight away from Daniel Murray. Very often the team that leaves that first half, that's in a commanding position, comes out a different side in the second half, because they've had a look at certain things and then they almost become aware of what's at stake. You're on autopilot during the game, you sit down, you settle down, and the adrenaline stops pumping and you end up thinking about what's at stake.
But he can be absolutely certain that Tony Smith would have said to his players at half-time, one of the last things he would have said, first set, no errors, and that's what happens, the error. Roby now, and Bentley, but nowhere to go. After going 12-0 down, it was a totally different Hull KR side in attack and defence.
Injured? All right.
Just checking that Bentley's all right there.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, Bentley was concerned, and so was Aaron Smith, that he was put in a dangerous position there. The legs looked for a moment like they'd come beyond the horizontal, but everybody's okay to continue.
Yeah, good refereeing from Scott Michalowskis, just making sure. Here's Kyle Amor.
Yeah, here's the tackle. Just right at the depth of this tackle, just there a hint that the legs had gone up and the head was in a dangerous position, but everybody plays on.
Hold, come on, Matt, go forward.
McCarthy Scarsbrook for Saints gave away. It was McCarthy Scarsbrook who gave the penalty away just before half-time, which allowed Jamie Ellis to level the scores. Last tackle, and it's Roby was playing a scrum half. Great offload there from Lomax. Wellesby has to cut back inside. What can he do? Kick forward.
Oh, good cover.
Brilliant cover. Absolutely superb cover. It was Ethan Ryan, wasn't it? The young winger who's been outstanding so far today.
Yeah, we've already mentioned him during his time at the Bradford Bulls. He played wing, centre and fullback, adept in all those positions. And you're right, he has got a big future. And that's maybe one of the things that were the real positives from this season, this disrupted season, is the amount of new faces we're going to see, and the amount of chances and opportunities that have been given to those players who, at the moment, and Ethan Ryan won't mind me for saying this, the fringe players, those players who are, are bought on potential. And Hull Kingston Rovers have invested heavily in that.
Well, another one that springs to mind, who may well be playing for St Helens next week, the young scrum half Lewis Dodd, who they think a heck of a lot about. And if Theo Fage's knee injury is serious, then Dodd will be involved for sure against the Huddersfield Giants. Briley on the last, finds Quinlan, and they're still determined to have a go.
And that's exactly
the danger.
That's what we were hoping they were going to get away from. The stuff we saw far too much against Warrington. There's no need to do that.
Well, 6 again. Amor. St Helens starting the second half as they started the first, on the front foot. Roby looking for a way through.
Wait.
Parcell in.
3.
A really good tackle again. Amor straightens up. Well, he was looking for the offload, and that was one offload too many this time for Kyle Amor. And Lomax again, Johnny Lomax, you could see and hear, absolutely furious.
He wants this ball done. He wants to structure his set and end it in the right terms. But unfortunately for St Helens, they back that up. They can't get back on side.
Mistake from Amor, mistake offside, and from being a yard away from the Hull Kingston Rovers line, they're going to be under pressure on their own try line in the space of 60 seconds.
With me, back. Go.
Intriguing, isn't it? It really would be. It would be one of the shocks of the season. It may be the shock of the season if Hull KR can pull this off today. But it's set up nicely.
2, move, Mate, back. 2, 3, move.
We're going to check out, see what the coach has said during half-time in just a moment. But let's just see if Rovers can come up with something, as Parcell is held close to the try line. Ellis now misses one out. Ryan Briley with a step through. Last tackle.
I like that he's prepared to take the line on. He's come away from that in a little bit of pain as Ryan Briley. You could see it etched on his face as he went through the tackle. It'll be really interesting to see what we're looking at here. Is it a lower leg that gets caught? It's an ankle, dear me. Yeah, they're really painful.
Yeah, you can just see James Bentley, his full body goes on that ankle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not supposed to be in that position, is it?
OK, well, while Ryan Briley's having treatment, let's find out what Tony Smith and Christian Wolf had to say at half-time. Jenna?
Well, as you can imagine, Tony Smith feeling very good about what his side are doing. He did admit that they got off to a slow start and should show too much respect to their opponents. If they can pick up where they left off, then they're certainly in for a chance to get the upset. As far as Christian Wolf goes, well, he said that his side were definitely being tested. He did admit that they're missing a number of key players, but they just need to change their attitudes. We saw Theo Farge leave the pitch in pain on 27 minutes. He won't be back. He has hyperextended his knee, and hopefully Ryan Briley here hasn't done too much damage to his ankle.
Well, he's struggling at the moment, isn't he, Briley? That would be a big miss, because Briley and Jamie Ellis have been so influential.
Is he staying on?
Well, it's the knees opened up as well, so it's the ankle that's gone and the knees opened up too. And they'd be praying he can carry on and try and work this out, because I'm looking at the bench and there's 4 forwards there on the bench. There's not an awful lot of options they've got.
Tackle 5.
It is still the last. Parcell and Ellis, that's a long pass out. Is Minikin now looking for a way through, but they're prepared to give it a go as Ellis fires the kick up towards the far corner. Did that come off Regan Grace? But the referee will say
It works, doesn't it?
Yeah. I even though it may have come off Grace, you know.
Even that was a rushed, hurried play. That works. Why Hull KR keep coming away from this, I'm not too sure.
Well, that looked very much like a knock-on was forced from Regan Grace. I think the Saints maybe got away from one there. I don't understand the work in the short side of the last tackle. I don't understand that. Yeah, there's enough in there to suggest they may have had another shot at Saints there. They've got to react though, and they've got to try and limit the metres that St Helens are able to take. I'm looking at what they are doing, Hull Kingston Rovers. They're really tightening up around the ruck, and they're providing an extra number, if you like, in this sort of area, that soft spot in behind the ruck. They're able to slow it down, and that's a good defensive set. Limited Saints, not going to get an attacking kick in.
Okay, 10 in the middle, yeah.
Well, was that a knock-on?
Saints
Yeah,
ball.
it is. 6 to go.
0.
More deliberate end to the set.
McCarthy scores, but with the offload. Picked up by Dom Peru for St Helens. 12 all. Really exciting game, this.
He's made a difference. Slim Shady, since he's come on the field, really working hard.
Coote. McCarver on the diagonal run, and that was brilliant from Coote. It was even better from Nagama. A try off the training ground, and Saints are back in front as Kevin Nagama The captain of Fiji with his 3rd try of the season.
That's a great line. It's a beautiful line from Nagama. Have a look at this from the end-on shot. Look at Nagama's line there. Beautiful stuff. He's even caught the ball on the outside of his body. Lachlan Coote's aware, and he's just taken a bit of weight off the pass as Coote here. That's a beautiful line. You can't defend those. You can't defend lines as committed as that.
What about the work from, first of all, James Roby, and then the line from James Bentley? Everybody doing, even though they might be in unfamiliar positions. St Helens, with players not quite in their preferred position, are still playing in a manner and in a fashion that causes trouble. Multifaceted players at St Helens that can, if they needed to, turn up and do somebody else's job.
First try for Kevin Nagama since round 1 against Salford. And Saints won, of course, and repeat of that grand final success. Right in front to give Saints a 6-point advantage once more.
Now have a look at Kevin Nagama now. Let's have a closer look at this line. Cuts right against the grain here. And Minikin's got no chance in the centre position. It's with starting points that are so impressive. He starts really wide. And then you don't even see him in the pitch. You see the change in direction there. That's really, really difficult. I'd say almost unplayable. That's how good that line is.
The Rovers have hit back once before. They're going to have to hit back again. Three straight wins. And now 18 tries for St Helens since the restart.
But Barry, this next 5 minutes is crucial for Kingston Rovers now, isn't it?
What they've got to do is stay in the fight. They've had a bit of a knock. They've had a bit of a... Well, they've had points scored against them during a phase in the game where they were matching it with St Helens. But I'm watching Johnny Lomax, and I know it's on the front foot at the minute, but Johnny Lomax's instruction, his command of the side.
They're making a lot of mistakes, those Saints, still. Another one this time from LMS.
They've made as many mistakes as their opponents. That's why they keep inviting them back into the game.
Well, Sean Kenny-Dowell has made probably 3 or 4 handling errors. And the former New Zealand international has made another one. What on earth is going on?
Someone finished a set, and the opportunity has been given to Hull Kingston Rovers again. Like I said, these next 5 minutes crucial for them. They need to get to the end of the set. They don't need anything spectacular. They need to grab a foothold back in this game again, because this is where St Helens are dangerous.
The Rovers are gifted another opportunity, a drop-a-thon in the second half. Linnett up to halfway for Hull KR. Good run from Kane Linnett. Really strong, powerful run. Eventually brought down by James Bentley. 6 to go. So this is, as John suggested, a really important 5 minutes. Will Maher on for Rovers. Parcell and Dean Hadley. And they go the short side. Ellis with a little sidestep, but well read. Good tackle from Dominic Peyrou. Hadley again. Good movement. Briley. Well, that was Roby there with the important touch, wasn't it? Last tackle. Parcell. Briley. Little kick through. And that was good positioning. Dominic Peyrou again, who's been at the thick of things, hasn't he, since he's come off the bench. Dom Peyrou's had a slight calf injury. This is first match since lockdown. He's been kept busy.
Such a good player, Dom Peyrou. Bodyguard for his halfback. We saw over on the other side the line that James Bentley ran to create the space for Nkwama. When you think about the options they've got, Bentley, they've got Peyrou, Zebteo, who's not on the field at the moment. On the edges, that's where they're really dangerous, St Helens.
It's Roby in the scrum half role, but that was easy for Greg Minikin. 18 points to 12, and Rovers are giving it to the Super League champions. Of that, there's no doubt.
This is what we talk about, James Robin. We've taught such a high standard he's set in the middle for so many years. He's now playing the scrum half position, a position he is unaccustomed to, and certainly a defensive position on the field he's unaccustomed to. And he just makes it look so easy. He's come up with a kick at the end of the set there. It just looks like he's played there in the half position for 10 years.
Kenny Dowell picks up the loose ball. Mulhern, Briley. Is there a way through for Matty G? Couple of tackles left in this set for Hull Kingston Rovers. They're looking for the high tackle there from Bentley. The referee says it's okay. Parcell back for Ellis under pressure. And that's a huge spiralling kick, but a good take from the reliable, relentlessly reliable Lachlan Coote. I'm sure one interested spectator, I'm sure will be watching on Sky Sports today, the great Mossy Massoy, a terrific servant for both St Helens, won a grand final with St Helens, of course, and still very much involved in Hull Kingston Rovers, and still making very good progress in his recovery from that awful broken neck he suffered in pre-season.
Yeah, I think for anybody who's been watching those videos as well, you can see the progress, and it's really heartening to see what he's been able to do. It shows you the power of the mind over the body, doesn't it? Yeah. We wish him all the very best.
Spot on. Alex Walmsley back on for Saints. Roby on the last, and Adam Quinlan will just let that go. Just taking the fizz out of the situation a bit. I think that was a kick of experience there from James Roby.
When there's a normal pattern to this game, it suits what St Helens want to achieve at the back end of sets. It suits them to play to structure. When there's offloads going here, there and everywhere, as we see some attention for Matty G. He's been good over on this left side, yeah.
He has been very good. He was brilliant, wasn't he, last year
for the Broncos,
for London. Yeah. Absolutely sensational, Matty G.
Okay, Kyle, yeah. Just wait, hang on. Hang on, okay, Dean. Are you ready, mate? Go.
And he is ready. And we're underway once more. St Helens leading. 15 minutes gone in the second half. Hull Kingston Rovers looking for their first win against St Helens in over 5 years, and they're giving it a good go. The offload again, and Briley finds Parcell. Payru over to cover. Will Marr now not afraid to throw that ball around. Hadley. Parcell does well. That's what you wanted to see, hasn't it? More of Parcell from dummy half.
They've done twice as many dummy half runs, Hull KR, in this game.
Well, they've lost the ball. Picked up by Matty Costello. It looks like Adam Quinlan's down as well, and he looks in a bit of bother there for Hull Kingston Rovers. He's going to stop play. Yeah, absolutely. Injury to Adam Quinlan. But while Quinlan is receiving some treatment, let's just have a look what happened here. He had to scramble back.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no.
He got the arm caught.
Arm, elbow.
We feel his pain.
Mate, when doctor's on it, we've got to stop this.
Another royal we, Pikey.
But we do. Right, while Adam Quinlan is getting some treatment, it looks like he's going to have to leave the field as well. That was nasty. Let's go pitch side and hear from Phil Clark.
Well, it is a blow for Hull KR, but it doesn't mean the chances are over. I disagree with what John Wells said before. I think Hull KR do need to run it on the last. They need to try things differently, because to score against St Helens, come back and win this game, it'll take more than the ordinary. Just going through the motions won't break the St Helens defence. And for the Saints, well, 2 weeks ago, if you tuned into Sky Sports, there was a vodcast which Jenna Brooks did with James Roby to celebrate his 500th game. And he told us in that he started playing the sport at St Helens as a scrum half. Looks like he might end up in that position.
Yeah, well, that's where he is at the moment, in appearance 501 of his career. But Adam Quinlan has gone down the tunnel to the dressing room, and that is a big blow. Ryan Briley has now gone to the full-back position for
who's limping, who's still limping from the ankle knee injury picked up a while ago.
And the Saints threatening once more. The Rovers defensively, well, throughout the games we approach the hour mark, have been absolutely committed. 10 out of 10 for effort for Hull KR today. On the last, Saints with a 6-point lead. Can they extend it as Lomax feeds Coop? Well, they did get the ball out to the Garber, but the ref said you're not going to be able to do that, well, son.
So you've got two hookers now playing in the halves. Parcell to cover for Briley, moving from the half position to full-back, as now defending 3 in. And he made the tackle.
Dean Hadley at 9 for Hull KR. We've seen him play that a number of times during his career.
Well, both sides have been forced to make big changes in this game. If you are just joining us, Saints losing their scrum half, Theo Farge, in the first half with what looked like a bad knee injury. Kane Linnet now for Rovers.
It's something I thought about yesterday. You have to be sharp as a coach these days. When players are going down, injuries take place. More often than not, to an important player, the reshuffle and the makeup of the side. And we saw with the last game yesterday with Ian Watson, he must have had different scenarios going off in his mind. What would suit the team best? What would suit the opponents that he's playing against the best? And both of these coaches have got the same conundrum today.
And that's it. You never plan when you're picking your 17, particularly your bench. You never plan for injuries. That's not part of the thinking. It's all part of the it's part of the strategy for the game plan to go and win the game.
You'll almost be picking players on how many different positions they can play.
Well, is there a case for having one back on the bench? I know most coaches will go with 4 forwards.
It depends. I would imagine it depends who you're playing against and what style you want to play.
Well, there's plenty of car park discussions I've had with Brian Carney over the last few months, talking about maybe extending the bench, putting more people on the bench. Brian had suggested there that if we had the 18th man ruling that you were talking about, Barry, and just giving the game ways in which have been a bit more adaptive and reactive, and the net result being there's no effect or a minimal effect on the quality of the output on the field, because ultimately this is a game for our entertainment and we want it to be entertaining.
Graham with the offload, Coop looking for a way through for St Helens. Petteru with the tackle. It was a tough tackle. And that may well have come off a Rovers' hand and gone backwards. It is. It's 6 to go. The tackle count is wiped clean. Bentley now looks for a way through. Linnet there with Parcell making the tackle. As we approach the hour mark, you feel that these are really important moments in this game. Another St Helens try, and Rovers are going to have to come back and do it all over again, as they did in that first half. Amor does well to hang on to it under real pressure there from Will Moore. Smith wriggles through. Well, there didn't look to be anything on at all. And young Aaron Smith just finds a way, finds the gap, finds the try, and Saints now have a firm grip on this game.
Well, it was the threat of Alex Walmsley that put the uncertainty in the mind of the Hull KR defenders. They're on the goal line, they're under stress, under fatigue, and they're looking at James Graham on the right, they're looking at big Alex Walmsley on the left, and he just holds his nerve. The number 9, the standing number 9, holds his nerve, keeps his feet, keeps looking, keeps bobbing, keeps weaving, keeps the ball out in front of him and gets it down over the try line.
I'll tell you what, as we watch the Saints fans celebrate that one, because that's a significant score. The work done by Alex Walmsley as well, so he's shown up, but crucially he's not gone into the line and he's not taken out a defender, kept that play alive and allowed Aaron Smith the try not to be referred to a video referee or risking any kind of obstruction.
So Lachlan Coote against St Helens, a 12-point advantage, and of course they had a 12-point advantage midway through the first half as well, before Hull kicked and Rovers stormed back, and Rovers are going to have to do it tough once more.
Well, look at him, he's standing just a little bit wide of the ruck. He draws the attention of Matty Staunton, who can't then regain his feet. He's off balance.
But you've got to commit to Alex Worms, haven't you? You can't half commit to that line. You've got to commit to that fully. Really, it's
just an
stuff.
Excellent job by Aaron Smith of assessing the situation. And as we're in the last quarter of this game now, you just hope that isn't the try that breaks the hearts of Hull KR.
You may remember Aaron Smith a couple of seasons ago had a spell on loan with Rovers. Here's Alex Wormsley. Of course, having not played for 3 weeks, Hull KR have got a 4-day turnaround.
And that is the other thing we were talking about.
Wigan on Thursday.
How coaches will have to manage their team within those 80 minutes. They're going to have to be masters of managing those periods when they don't play, be it enforced or cut breaks or the bye, because we've got an uneven number in the league now.
Well, next game, Rovers play Wigan at Headingley on Thursday. St Helens will play Huddersfield 24 hours later.
Of course, I'm really looking forward to that game up next. Huddersfield playing Hull FC. Right, both teams with a question to answer there.
Roby for Wellesby. What a pass for the standing scrum half. James Roby with a little touch of magic. 501 games for St Helens today, and that was a wonderful pass. And Wellesby goes in for his second try. And you may well feel that try from Jack Wellesby should be enough to take Saints to within 2 points of Wigan at the top of the table.
Hey, listen, if you're a footballer, you're a footballer. That's a ball. What a ball. Lomax Orfage would be very proud of that one. The try assist for James Roby. The build-up was great, the lines were great, the execution was spot on. Wellesby's not even had to check his stride there. Look at the setup, every single line, that from Bentley as holder defender. The nice little fade out from Nagama. The ball across the face to Wellesby, who held his line well. And James Roby, the architect for another St Helens score.
I've watched James Roby play like we all have and marvelled at his engine. He's kept going and he's done things to a high standard, a high skill level under fatigue. We're going to see him in the last, 27 and a bit minutes. He's not going to be as fatigued. He's not going to be peppered by players running at him because he's that little bit wider of the ruck now. So we'll get to see James Roby with a full tank of energy and what he can do and what he can provide for everyone around him.
So Lachlan Coote, perfect with the boot so far. And another beauty from the touchline, and Saints now, surely you would think, have done enough with 17 minutes to go, and they extend that lead out to 30 points to 12. Well, we saw what could be a big injury blow for Hull Kingston Rovers. Adam Quinlan going off with what looked like a really nasty arm or elbow injury. Jenna has news.
Yeah, you can say nasty, all right. He's on his way to hospital. They think it is a broken forearm, which means he'll be out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Huge blow for Hull KR.
Well, Rovers there will be disappointed with that decision. I think Tony Smith is. I think they thought that they got the ball back. Sean Kenny-Dowell, the short kickoff. Let's have a look.
Can't see too much wrong with that.
Wait, James, back, come on.
May well have gone forward on the bounce.
But I like that. There's still some fight. I said I don't want the previous try, not the one just scored by Jack Wellesby, to be the try that breaks the heart of Hull KR. They're still testing, they're still challenging. I think the referee said that went forward from Ethan Ryan. But if you give St Helens a sniff that you've gone, then they'll score try after try after try.
The Rovers have given it a real go. A real go.
They need to give it a real go for 80 minutes, though.
Absolutely.
That's the point I'm making.
Sure the huge, significant bit of news coming out of Rovers this week, of course, has concerned the chairman and the owner, Neil Hudgell, who's announced he's going to step down at the end of the year after 16 years in charge, and he's put millions of his own money into Hull Kingston Rovers. He's a fantastic owner, and he's a top bloke as well. He'll be a miss to our sport for sure.
An incredible human being. He's given Hull KR his full support. He's a friend of rugby league for life, and a good man to have a chat with over a pint or two. So
absolutely. Well, Saints at the moment now really looking to press home their advantage. Coote with a little chip up to this far side. Oh, well done in the end by Greg Minikin. Take 2, but 30 points to 12 it is. 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, 15 minutes where Hull Kingston Rovers really need to keep this tidy, because the danger is with Saints scoring twice there in a blistering 4 minutes, and the second of which was a superb try for Wellesby's second. There's a danger this game can get away from them now. You don't want that. There's an awful lot of endeavour and some smart stuff from Hull Kingston Rovers as well, particularly in the second part of that first half of football. It looks like, you know, they're not going to take the competition points, but they can take something out of this game. They just don't let it unravel.
I agree. They need to come out of this game and get what they deserve. That scoreboard as it is, 30 points to 12. If maybe Hull KR can claw another bite, you look at it and you say, on the balance of the game, with both sides putting the effort in that they have, that scoreline's about right. But if they're not careful, Saints can score another 2 or 3 tries, and then it looks bad reading on the score sheet.
Well, Jamie Ellis wasn't far off another 40-20 there.
It was a great kick from Ellis for sure. Coming up later this afternoon, Huddersfield against Hull FC. That should be a cracking game.
Oh, question mark there, Stuart.
Yeah. Who wins? Who wins? And then to round off with another excellent weekend, Warrington on home territory take on Wakefield. Wakefield, of course, beating the Wolves at Bellevue earlier in the season. Still to come, and then next Thursday and Friday we're back at Headingley for another 5 games, all live on Sky Sports. Great pass from Roby again. Coote and Nagama, and Bentley looking for a way through. Minikin can't bring him down. Saints enjoying themselves at the moment. They know with 13 minutes to go that this game is won. Just looking to score more points. McCarthy Scarsbrook. Kyle Amor. Again, always looking for the offload, isn't he, Amor? But Hull KR under enormous pressure once more. Saints have come out and they've dominated, totally dominated the play in the second half. Good tackle. It had to be, little kick through.
Nice kick, Aaron Smith.
It was Aaron Smith, and it was well done by Matt Parcell to rescue the situation.
Tell you what, it's really
He's still a good player, isn't he, Parcell? He really is.
He managed to keep the ball in play. That's really significant. Look at this. Look at where he gathers the ball and then drags it back. Makes himself small, gets himself back in the field of play. Penalty given away by James Graham on Sean Kenny Dowell. And a reprieve of sorts for Hull Kingston Rovers, who get to make a clearing kick now. Yeah, it's just that lazy arm, a fatigued arm from James Graham. And Ellis wastes no time in kicking the ball to touch. James Bentley has got through 44 tackles in defence. I mean, I'm more impressed by him every game I watch him play.
Yeah, I know that. Speaking to Sean Wayne at one of the matches last week, he's really impressed with him. Isn't the biggest. I don't think in this modern game you need to be the biggest. You just need to be committed. You need to have, ultimately, you need to have a really, really good engine.
Still only 22, and I think the biggest compliment that Bentley's received is the comparisons that are being made with him and John Bateman. You've got early on in his career, I know, but a lot of...
I understand why, but they're two similar, two different types of players, and when you look at the stature and you look at the fight in the dog, then definitely, yeah, that comparison is fair.
Wellesby taking no chances there. Good little kick through.
This is the sort of stuff we were hoping we would see from Hull Kingston Rovers earlier in the game. When the game is set that, you know, they're 6 points behind or it's 12 points apiece, that's the sort of play that earns them more time and more opportunity that you were looking for. Instead, they were working the short side. They were trying low percentage plays when that was a really smooth kick that was put through. This is the point we were making a little bit earlier in the commentary today. If we'd have seen that from them on the 35-minute mark, 35-minute mark, this may have been a different game.
Well, the Royal we all agreed that Rovers had to start strongly in the second half.
It varied. When we watched them play against Warrington, it was literally let's offload our way out of trouble. But they've built some pressure. They've got to some decent kicks and made St Helens work hard for different periods.
Lawler. He's had a good game, hasn't he? George Lawler.
Too slow.
25 on Tuesday. Parcell with the dummy and gets reward for a fantastic performance. How many times have we seen Matt Parcell do that in his career at Leeds? He won a grand final with the Rhinos, and that was a lovely individual try, but we've seen that so often from Matt Parcell.
And that's what he can do. If he has any kind of doubt, and he can feel any kind of doubt in the mind of the defenders in front of him, he's the type of player to pounce. That's the 16th occasion that Hull KR have jumped out from dummy half, tried to take advantage of a defensive line that's not set, not organised, and whilst offloading and finding those offloads and that unstructured play will give them some reward, the good kicking game of that player towards the likes of Ethan Ryan and some nice work from Matt Parcell has been beneficial.
Yeah, Parcell just, it's Bentley who's overread there. There was some movement, wasn't there, around the ruck. And Hull Kingston Rovers fans get to celebrate. You feel it may be a little too late in this particular game, but we're looking over the course of the season, and we're looking at the potential resurgence
and let's be right,
of big clubs in Hull.
I'm not sure Hull KR turned up thinking we're going to get the points against St Helens, but what you can do at the back end of this game is take some steps towards next week's opponents and let next week's opponents know that Hull KR are not just going to turn up and try a few fancy plays. They're going to be prepared to roll their sleeves up.
Yeah, there's a fair bit more steel about them this week, isn't there? And that's what I'm really pleased to see.
Well, there's still 8.5 minutes to go. Well, that's Briley, and that's Lachlan Coote. And do you know what? John Wells talked in the first half about how well Lachlan Coote reads the game, and he just knew what Ryan Briley was going to do.
Great positional play, and I'm sure that Phil Clark will have enjoyed what Hull KR tried to do there. Ultimately, it's not going to give them any reward, but they are willing to try things like that as they give a penalty away. Is it Wella Haraki with a high tackle?
It is.
Been a good servant to our game, Wella Haraki. Another good man, a good bloke that's come over and give good service. Maybe a powerful voice in that changing room. They'll need players like him to hold their nerve, be composed.
Here's the kick over from Briley. Look where Coote appears from the left-hand side of your screen. He's had to get his foot down, but you're right. He sees things a quarter of a second before the average player. That's what elevates him to the status that he's got at the moment.
Well, Lachlan Coote is going to add the penalty here, but how about this? Saints have had to virtually train themselves this week. Christian Wolf hasn't been anywhere near the training ground because of track and trace. He had the first time he'd be able to come out of quarantine today. Of course, you may remember a week or two ago, one of the Saints backroom staff gave a false positive. It turned out to be a negative COVID test. He had 6 tests and they all turned out to be negative, but because of track and trace, the coaching staff had to quarantine, and Christian Wolf has been reduced to talking to his players via Zoom on the internet, and his first day out of quarantine is today. James Roby, I'm told, as Lachlan Coote kicks the goal to make it a 14-point game. James Roby has been leading from the front and taking training.
Well, that's a successful environment when you can empower your players to look after themselves, and with players like Roby within your ranks, James Graham. When James Graham, when the players within the club at St Helens were told he was going to come over, all the leadership group said, yes, let's get him on board because he's going to add something to the playing team. Of course he is during that 80 minutes, but the influence he'll have on those players on the training field, how they live their life, how they look at the certain challenges that are going to crop up, then they were willing to take that on board.
Well, Graham has been superb, hasn't he? Here he is on the ball now, James Graham, really influential on and off the field since he's come back. He's been well, he's not happy with the referee. You can see James Graham telling Scott Mikalauskis exactly what he thinks about that decision.
You can't train that in a player. That is a will to win. That is a desire to win. Now, we all make mistakes within a game of rugby. It's how you deal with it,
He's
isn't it?
still having a word.
I want to take my headphones off and listen to this contact and this next tackle. If anybody's brave enough to run, no. Short side, smart play from Matt Parcell.
Would you have run well, Zip?
Certainly not.
I think you'd have run. You'd have run all the way back out to the wing to talk to the touch judge.
Go on. Quicker, Aaron. Drop. Surrender.
Well,
Are you okay? You're shaking again. That's the second time today.
I'm vicariously
You're
terrified.
all right. I'll look after you. Don't worry.
I think he's thinking about a collision with James Graham.
You're all right. I'll look after you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, James
We're looking
Roby.
at a potential head clash.
Surrender straight away, which is what I want him to do.
Some attention.
Okay.
They won't take any chances. Let's have a look.
It's James Roby and it's friendly fire, isn't it? It's Roby and Bentley come together. Yeah.
Well, there was James Roby thinking he was going to a relatively easy afternoon. He's away from the big men, the big dopey ones in the middle that run into him in the same shirts and the opposite shirts.
Does that go down as a tackle for James Bentley? That's the bit you can't train, can you? Can't put muscle on around your... Well, hang on, I'm saying... I'm looking at somebody who maybe has bent that theory for me, Baz.
Well, they won't take any chances with James Roby for sure, but interesting, James Bentley was unscathed.
Well, James Roby's unscathed. He went into the game looking like that, to be fair.
Yeah, but they won't take any chances in the closing stages, not with 5 minutes to go. And another game coming up on Friday against the Huddersfield Giants. Just to remind you, 4:10. Back on the air for Huddersfield against Hull FC. And then Warrington against Wakefield will round off this Sunday afternoon of Super League here on Sky Sports. Hull KR finished with a flourish, well a Haraki, but it was a forward pass, the last pass there from Jamie Ellis. 32-18, 4 minutes to go. I still think Tony Smith will be really pleased overall with the way that his side has played. John Wells will be picking our man of the match, so we'll ask him to have a little think about that. But I think Rovers will be rejuvenated by what they've seen today, because let's be honest, a lot of people, a lot of the experts were predicting that this could have been 40, 50, maybe more.
Yes, there's more good than bad. And
yeah, absolutely.
What Tony Smith has learned about his side is that when it does stick, it works. They need to extend those periods of playing with the skill and having the ball stick to hand. But that's easier said than done when you're tired and when you're reshuffling your side on a constant basis.
You asked about the man of the match, and I'm looking at the Saints team. It's inevitably going to be a Saints player. And I look at Lachlan Coote and the contribution he's made, and what an assuring presence he's been. It's been a more sprightly performance from Johnny Lomax. Wellesby's got a couple of tries, but I think the man who's glued all this together and has proven a rock in defence has been James Bentley. 47 tackles in defence, full of industry and enthusiasm. Massive future in this game. I think he goes away with my Betfred man of the match today. Outstanding effort.
There he is, our man of the match. Just signed a new contract extension, and I know that Christian Wolf, the Saints coach, absolutely delighted with that bit of business, because he had a lot of suitors, didn't he? A lot of people looking to take Bentley off St Helens' hands. Kerry Dowell. They get a try with 3 minutes to go. The answer will probably be no.
It's a wry smile from Tony Smith. Such experience from him. But yeah, you can't do an awful lot about that. It's hit the boot of the Saints defender, but it's the responsibility of the man in possession of the ball there to keep that ball in his possession. Matty Staunton comes up with the error, and it'll be another 2 points for St Helens. I'm more interested, because I think that was the expectation before we kicked off, is that St Helens would take the points today. I'm more interested in what Hull Kingston Rovers take from this. I'm more interested in what Tony Smith, how he debriefs this side and then works into preparation for next week. And I'm equally interested in what they do for the fullback position for Thursday night, because losing Quinlan will be a big loss.
You'd give Ethan Ryan a goal, wouldn't you?
LMS and Nagama looking for another try in second. But Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook will be talking about that for years. Nagama is held up over the try line.
Still commitment from Hull KR. Still getting back in numbers. I don't think I'm far off by saying they're outclassed here, Hull KR against St Helens. But they've not been outfought.
No, they haven't.
Dean! Hold. Ball 3. George.
Minute or so to go. Lomax with a short pass for Dominic Peru.
No, just get up,
Amor. Still really keen up in defence, Hulkington Rovers. I agree, it's been a top effort, hasn't it? 10 out of 10 for effort, without a shadow of a doubt. Lomax now, another long pass, and Kevin Nagama, no, it's a forward pass. Well, Lomax will be disappointed with that. So Nagama denied a second by a Lomax forward pass.
It's a normal.
Yeah, it would have been a cracker though, wouldn't it? Would have been a bell just comes forward out of the hands, doesn't it? But it's the vision. You can still admire the vision, can't you? You still admire the pass choice, what the halfback sees there.
Well, it's all about rotation. I think all the coaches are talking about rotation, aren't they? You know, I think Jordan Abdul and Mitch Garbutt, Harvey Levette, they'll probably come into for Hull KR. Lewis Dodd, the young starlet, will probably come in for Saints at scrum half for the injured Theo Farge. And
well, they're going to have to be, because the games are going to come thick and fast now. Yeah. And you know, the pace, as we know, is already at the ball in play time. Has anybody seen those stats? They're phenomenal. The amount of time that the ball is now in play, the rest periods for the players have become few and far between. Ethan Ryan puts that ball on the boot, once again picked up by Lachlan Coo, and it's St Helens will take the points.
Yep.
Another accomplished performance by them.
Lachlan Coo is tackled, and Saints, it's a hard-fought win without a shadow of a doubt. And Christian Wolf and Tony Smith just having a few words and a smile, but Tony Smith can be mighty proud of his Hulkington Rovers troops. Christian Wolf will know that he has been in a heck of a game. 12 all at half-time, but Saints showing their dominance in the second half. 2 tries for Jack Wellesby. They lost Theo Farge. Rovers lost Adam Quinlan to 2 nasty-looking injuries, but for St Helens, it's an 8th consecutive win over Hulkington Rovers, and more importantly for them, it's 4 on the bounce since the restart after lockdown, and Saints are now 2 points behind Wigan at the top of the table.
Yes, thanks very much.